Okay, guys, we are talking all about IoT in hospitals, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about that today with our 7 minutes with 7 Signal. This is where we take a little feature inside 7 Signal, we unpack it and show how it has great value. Now check this out, guys. What the Sapphire Eye is doing is actually sniffing out of the air all of the data rates that can be sniffed, right? So over here on the left side of your screen, you can see that based upon OUI MAC address lookup, we've got all sorts of clinical IoT devices. I have zeroed in on these layered devices. Do you see that, guys? Layered technologies. And I know that layered technologies is tied closely to clinical IoT in hospitals because I have done my research. Check it out, guys. So this is layered, and this is everything that we've been talking about today with regards to infusion pumps and EKG and wireless heart rate sensors and IV pumps and all of that stuff. So we can actually see with 7 Signal the performance of these devices just by checking out what data rates they are spending the majority of their time at. So let's go back. So one of the things that I see immediately as I look at these layered devices connected, and again, I'm looking at the upload transmission speeds, data rates, okay? Upload is important. I can measure in either upload or download, but I'm looking at upload because that's what we're asking these devices to do. We're asking them to upload their data so that we can get this telemetry, right, from our patients in their rooms and such. And I see something really interesting. Why have I activated, look at this, guys, B data rates? Now, we're looking at when it comes to clinical IoT, yes, there's a lot of old stuff out there and we can't just upgrade it so quickly. So there's a lot of devices out there that are using 2.4 because it's less expensive, lower power, better propagation. By the same token, there should be some things that we can do in order to make sure that if they have to use 2.4, they're not using some of these old, slow, legacy data rates. And so, you know, obviously these devices are capable of G, and I would venture to say probably capable of N also. And when I catch something like this right here that I see where something is using the B data rate, it gets me a little bit concerned. Now, this is just step one of determining kind of the performance of these devices. Looking at the data rates of my clinical IoT in the upload direction. Thing number 2 is I want to check out the channel plan. And again, I'm focusing in on 2.4 because we're talking about a lot of clinical IoT that might be older and 2.4 only. We actually see that everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's go to channels. Okay, and so again, I'm looking for things that might be a little funny. And for instance, right here, I see something that's a little bit funny because it's not on channels 1, 6, or 11. All right, this printer right here is on channel 10. And I'll tell you what, that if the printer is not used very much, then maybe it's not a big deal. Nevertheless, for good housekeeping's sake, I should try to get that printer off of channel 10 because I really don't want it to interfere in any way, shape, or form with my clinical IoT devices in my hospital. Because these IoT devices only need to transmit little bits of data, it's actually better if maybe they're in a situation like this where yes, indeed, it's very congested, as you can see here on channel 6, but at least it's subject to the 802.11 protocol where in due time it will get its turn and it will be able to transmit. But in this situation here, we run the risk of there being collisions in the air and we don't want that to take place. So let's just scroll a little bit further and see if there's anything else in here. Okay, that looks good, looks good, looks good. Here's another one. Who's this guy? Again, on channel 10, it's another HP printer. Okay, would somebody, you know, knock on HP's door and say, could you please stop putting your printers on channel 10? We would appreciate it. The third thing we're going to take a look at today is the spectrum. Once again, if these clinical IoT devices are using 2.4, and if my channel plan, for the most part, is in pretty good shape, why would they be dipping into these low, slow B data rates I better take a look at the spectrum to see what's going on in the air that's non 802.11. So let's flip on over to our spectrum analyzer really quick. And there you have it. Okay, so let's look at this one right here. This actually looks pretty good on 2.4. All right, so here's channel 1. This is a waterfall. So we're waterfalling from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. All right, so this is channel 1, not used very much. Here's channel 6, and it looks like this access point was on channel 6, then flipped over to channel 11 for a while, then flipped back over to channel 6. You can kind of see the channel change taking place there. But what I like is that it's nice and cool in between. And that means that there's not all sorts of extraneous noise in the environment that once again could be affecting my clinical IoT, which is absolutely mission critical from a patient telemetry standpoint in a hospital. That's why this is so awesome to be able to look at. If I was having issues with my clinical IoT in patients' rooms and such, then I'd want to look at the spectrum to see what was going on in the air. For example, look at this, guys. This is pretty nasty. Okay, this looks to me like it's potentially Bluetooth interference cutting across the spectrum back and forth. A much different scenario. And if I had clinical IoT in this area where this Sapphire Eye is, and I was depending upon it to do its job and upload telemetry information regarding my patients to the cloud or to whatever system I had in place at the nurse's station or whatever, and if I was having problems, I would look at this and I would say, wow, we need to figure out a way to remediate this situation. So there you have it, guys. Use 7Signal in order to identify the performance of some of these IoT devices that you have in your environment, whether they be clinical IoT from companies like Laird and Philips or anything from that matter. So there you have it. I'm happy to be with you guys today. Remember, you and me, we can't see or hear Wi-Fi, but 7Signal can. We'll see you next time.